Hey everybody, welcome back to Let's Play Kingdom Hearts, the final mix. I'm Nai.
I'm Mako, and if we're lucky, we're going to get off this island sometime soon. Maybe.
About that. So, we need to go and give all of this crap to Kairi. All of that random food junk.
Gotta admit, for planning to get off the island, she has actually put some thought to it. Not necessarily a whole lot, but
A single water bottle, 3 fish, 3 mushrooms, and an egg. Which she has no way of cooking. Awful lot of thought, really.
More than anyone else her age probably would. Also, Squaresoft game character, she's still displaying a remarkable amount of self-preservation.
Apparently you can't actually jump on those trees. Oh, Kairi. I have stuff for you. And she's just kind of messing with her fingers. She's not actually doing anything. She's just messing with her fingers. Wow. Not even looking at me. She's making a necklace out of thalassa shells. So
I'm not sure if that's meant to be a reference to anything.
I don't know if they are. They're supposed to ensure a safe voyage. And there is a special charm that we will learn more about later. It's kind of interesting to see it in its half-made state. Help us find each other if we ever get separated. 3 of us will always be together. Sure. About that. And she found another high potion that apparently belongs to me.
Hey,
Yeah,
free
let's go.
potion. Oh, something I was going to say before, something to keep in mind about potions and high potions, they unlike a lot of Final Fantasy games, and closer to the Tales games, in Kingdom Hearts, potions and high potions work on a percentage basis, not a fixed amount of health.
You okay?
So little health that it might as well be the same thing.
Yeah, rest standard potion is about 40% health, high potion is 60, I think.
What's gotten into you?
What is
You're the
with
one that's changed,
Riku
right?
and Kairi and their whole, let's say something incredibly, important, life-changing. Just kidding!
Afraid at first. But now I'm ready.
You know? Riku with his whole, I'm gonna give the Paupu fruit to Kairi. Just kidding!
I know I can
And then
always come
Kairi,
back here.
let's go off, just the 2 of us.
Right?
Just kidding.
Yeah,
Well, also,
that's good.
Sora is a gullible...
Sora, don't ever change. Huh?
I don't even have a word for what's someone who's really gullible.
Can't wait
Goober?
once we set sail.
Goober doesn't seem sufficient.
I think it fits into a T, though. Let's see. There's that cutscene that I remember, but I remember there being another one after that.
Destiny Island is made of cutscenes.
There we go. This is that, letter. So stuff is happening. One thing is that Euclidean space is no longer working in the castle.
It never did.
Yeah, it doesn't. So Star's been blinking out. Have you noticed that not only does Mickey speak with an accent, he writes in it too? Have you seen that?
He does.
He writes in the accent, and I think he also writes in Comic Sans. That'll piss a lot of people off. I'm not sure, though, but it looks an awful lot like it.
Actually, something that occurred to me the other day. So you've got King Mickey and Queen Minnie. You've got Lady Daisy. Daisy and Donald aren't married.
No. Boyfriend or girlfriend, then.
Boyfriend and girlfriend. But this is the only time I can think of offhand where Mickey and Minnie are explicitly sort of married.
It is never explicitly stated that they are married in the game.
I have a hard time thinking king and queen without being married. That is not how monarchies work.
Do note, they do the ears correctly. Did you notice that? In the scene we just saw? You know the rule about Mickey ears, right?
They always have to be giving the correct silhouette.
Correct. Well,
The specific kind of silhouette.
Within reason. So you'll notice as Minnie turns her head, the ears go with her. But if the camera angle ever looks at her from the side, the ears are where they're supposed to be. You saw it once during that cutscene. I think it's very cool. It's an old Disney rule about Mickey that he always has to give, and actually Minnie has to do the same thing. They always have to give the correct silhouette when looked at from the side, and they actually did it right in that cutscene, which I don't think I've ever noticed before. And we learned that Jiminy is actually from a completely different planet from everybody else, but they have different rules about planets.
Worlds.
Yeah, worlds. It's planet in the same way that the Little Prince's moon is a planet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get a little bit of background about how worlds work, and basically we got a whole prime corrective thing going on here. Which I never understood the point of this.
Especially since, like, as you go later on in the series, you find out that the whole
everybody knows anyways. You know?
It's like there are several worlds where this is like common knowledge. There are clearly other people who know this.
Well, what I remember, I can compare it to a book I read. An author I used to love as a kid, and I still enjoy her for a fair amount of books, is Diana Wynne Jones. Do you know her?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Howl's Moving Castle.
Ah, okay.
Okay. Most of her books are magic with interesting rules, but it's all very like teenager fantasy. There's not a lot of depth to it, and there's a lot of romance and a lot of things like that. So there's not, they're good books and they're enjoyable and good reading, but they're not, Tolkien fantasy. And I think this is one of my favorite jokes in the game. Because I love this joke. We see it a lot in games where you're flying a ship. I love this so much. That away, sir! Nope. I've always loved that. It's one of my favorite jokes.
Yeah.
But yeah, in one of her books, a book called Deep Secret. I love how they're also technically dropped out of the bottom of the world. I love that. In Deep Secret, supposedly, it's never explained how this actually works, because if you think about it for too long, you go, wait a minute. But supposedly, every world is on this kind of... What's the name for, I can't remember the name, the actual name of the infinity symbol. But,
Mobius?
No, not Mobius. There's actually a word specifically for the symbol, and I can never remember it. It's something like meniscus, but that's... So, oh, by the way, this is Sora's actual house. It is not the island. This is the one and only time we ever see that he actually has a house.
Right. You can see the island.
And he has a mom. We just heard her name. We just heard her voice. He apparently makes robots. He actually has a house, and he arrives by way of boat. So there is a place that he lives.
Yeah, Destiny Islands is a place. It's just that we only ever see, like, that small island the kids play on.
He has a house. We know that Kairi comes from somewhere, because as they'll say just now, here's Kairi's boat.
And Kairi.
They went somewhere. She has no home. Where the hell did she go?
I know in 2, they imply, she goes to a...
In 2, there's an outright town that she lives in. There's a school that she goes to along with Sophie.
Yeah.
By the way, you can't hit shadows. They don't do anything. Your sword is completely worthless.
It's a toy sword.
It's a toy sword. I love doing this for a while. By the way, you can die here, so don't do that. There's not a lot of places you can go. If you try to go to the secret place, there's a door here.
Even if you could fight the shadows. Like, obviously, we're gonna get to fight soon because they're giving us all the ominous music and all that.
Yeah.
This is a good place to level up a little bit if you still need to, but this is one of those cases where enemies will not stop spawning.
Yeah, well, the
Ever.
good news is the save point in the Seaside Shack still exists.
Yep.
This is still here. And actually, I learned something, so I went and actually... So this is a second play session for us today. Unfortunately, I let the game run for a little while. That's why our timer is about 30 minutes longer than it should be. So, those were actually back-to-back. I learned something today. The game does what it never used to. It actually loads up at your current save point, or save file, as opposed to at the top every time. It also doesn't take forever and a half to actually load your save file. It used to. Like, on the PS2, it took forever to actually load into your your memory card.
It depends a little bit on the game. Like, some of the other ones in the remix system aren't so good about loading your stuff.
Yeah.
The door.
So, and now Riku's talking creepy like.
The door is open, Sora. Now we can go to the outside world.
The door has opened.
We gotta find Kairi.
What door?
Kairi's
We
coming
don't know.
with us. Once we step through,
But in the
might not be
book
able to
Deep
come back.
Secret, one of the interesting things about it was
See our
that
parents again.
the worlds are built into an infinity symbol, and if you go from the left of the crossing point, those worlds don't believe in magic. That's where Earth lies. We don't believe in magic, we believe in technology. And the further left you go, the further they don't believe in magic, the further magic has gone away from the world. The further to the right you go, the more they believe, but the more magic actually exists. And you're not supposed to talk about it, especially with worlds to the left. You're not supposed to let them know, as a person who knows how to do magic and who walk worlds, that it exists. If you go to the right, no one gives a damn. That's kind of what Kingdom Hearts always felt like to me, is that, you know, well, we're not supposed to tell people, but the people who these people know anyways. Like, there's some people who know, some people who don't. You're not supposed to tell the people who don't know, but you might anyways.
Right. They do, like, later, again, this is
There's
one of
the
those
Keyblade.
this is one of those cases where they made a whole bunch of things and then they did actually come back and fill in the details with later stuff.
I mean, eventually, but it was kind of, you know, I was reading, I forget whose review it was, but someone was reviewing, by the way, the Keyblade is extraordinarily powerful compared to the weapons we've been wielding previously. It is a very powerful weapon, and it continues to get more so. I was reading someone's review of something or other, and he was it was something Final Fantasy related. And he was talking about how, like, there was something that he wanted Squeenix to make, and that he wasn't sure if it would work. Like, whatever concept, whatever idea he wanted, he wasn't sure if Squeenix could actually make it work. And then he said, you know, they've tried this in the past, something like that, and he goes, but those Kingdom Hearts guys, but fans of Kingdom Hearts, they'll bend over backwards to let the story work. And I was thinking about it, I was going, you know what, he's right. There are so many inconsistencies with this story. And in some cases, they get talked about, and they get fixed, and they get, you know, retconned. And in some cases, there's just a plot hole that never goes away.
Yeah, there's at one time there where they jokingly had what they referred to as 4 great secrets, 4 big plot holes that haven't been explained yet.
Yeah.
A couple of those, there's only 2 major Kingdom Hearts games, but there's about 4 sub games. Like, they were originally handheld games, and
Apparently, there's no longer unlimited spawn.
Wow. Okay.
I actually can't remember if it was unlimited spawn in the first place.
Could be. I could have sworn it was unlimited at one point. It might be while you only have like the.
It might be while you have the sword and you can't kill them anyways.
Right. Anyway, there's 2 main Kingdom Hearts games and there's about 4 sub games. Most of them were, well, all of them were portable versions up until like they started doing the remakes. And it's not until they started when they started making the portable games, they actually used those to fill in a lot of the interstitial stuff that, you know, we probably should know, but they couldn't work it into one of the regular games.
Well, some of the stuff they heavily imply in stuff like, you know, the collectible reports and stuff like that. They'll imply what was supposed to be there, but they don't ever tell you. I think there's something to be said for going back and filling in the plot holes afterwards. One of my favorite book series by a master of writing, Larry Niven. One of his most famous works, Ringworld, is full of plot holes. There's tons of them. They're endless. And what happened is, as kind of the big, you know, hard sci-fi writer that he is, one of the things he prides himself, as far as I understand, is keeping everything accurate. Like, to the best of his ability, he keeps it realistic, keeps it accurate, mathematically even. So apparently people started poking holes in Ringworld and saying, hey, well, this couldn't work, the tensile strength of this would have to be this, how do you explain this? So he started explaining it, and built a second book to explain the problems of the first. And then more problems were found, so he wrote a third book to explain the problems that were still there. And then I think the fourth one was just to round off the series. But the thing was, his book had a lot of these little inconsistencies that had to be explained. And yes, I am, for no particular reason, leveling up a little bit, because I kind of want the levels for the next big fight. But yeah, he was kind of explaining away the inconsistencies by actually going back and saying, well, this was because of this. You know, I'm using this to retcon this information, which, you know, this was all they had knowledge of at the time, but it's actually not the way it is, like stuff like that. And it's fine to do that, but I do think that at a certain level, you do have to say, you know, well, that's all good and all, but why did we accept it in the first place? And Kingdom Hearts does that a lot, I find.
Yeah, but again, like, Kingdom Hearts, it's Square and Disney, neither of whom have always been big on explaining.
Yeah.
They
but
just
there's not a lot of games I know, and keep in mind, Disney games, they've never been particularly good at them, and I don't play a ton of Square titles, but I can't think of a ton of titles that had the level of plot hole that Kingdom Hearts does. You know?
Well, again, I think there is also a point at which you get, well, gamers being gamers, they're always going to start poking holes in things.
Of course.
It's what they do.
But some of them are pretty obvious. Like, the stuff like the romance and stuff we've been pointing out so far. These are really obvious plot holes. We tell you that, Kairi has no place to go. She has no home. But she somehow leaves the island and goes someplace. Like, it's stuff like that proofreading would have fixed this problem. The other reason, guys, that I'm fighting here is not just for the levels. I'm also fighting for a couple drops, specifically the potions that the Shadows have been dropping recently. I really kind of want them because these are the only potions that you get for a while. And,
you're gonna need them
until
you get to the next. Until you get to the place where you can actually buy things, and that's won't be
for a while, anyways.
Well, not for a little while.
And I won't really have currency to flat out buy in the first place for a while.
As we get to a couple places, I'll point out like a couple of the places that about the whole worlds not knowing each other. There's a couple of places where that's like glaringly problematic.
Actually, the next place we're going to be in is glaringly problematic.
Well, they do. Yeah, that's one of the biggest explanations. They do explain it a little bit, but the explanation doesn't help.
Yeah. Well, there's a given level of explanation that we get of why the worlds know about each other, and then there's also a shh, we're not supposed to be telling you this. So it's a little bit back and forth, you know.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the. Again, like this is one of those things that they not wink and nod, but they come back to and poke at in like some of the later stuff.
Yeah. I mean, 2 went in, especially with some of the stuff we'll get into later when more storyline gets developed. But 2 went back for a lot of it and said, hey, let's describe, let's talk about this. And then 2 left in some of the biggest plot holes that then Birth by Sleep had to come and fix. There's... which we'll get into whenever I get to Kingdom Hearts 2. But it's at a certain point, I guess the question is, how much can you actually not be kind of curious about? I'm actually kind of upset at myself a little bit. There was a Kingdom Hearts 2.5 Collector's Edition I could have gotten that had a box that had space for 1.5 and 2.5. It also came with a Shadow plush. And I kind of wanted it. There we go. That's the level I wanted.
Max HP Plus
No, not that one.
Well, you wanted Slapshot. Don't forget to equip it.
No, I don't have I need to get a combat.
Well, yeah.
Am I actually allowed to go to the next zone? Can I go there? Okay, so we've got a new ability, Slapshot. So you have a certain amount of AP ability points that you're allowed to use, and you have to spend them to unlock abilities.
Well, spend them to equip abilities.
Some of which are activated, some of which are not. So I had 1 AP to start with. I spent 1 AP to activate Slapshot, which does a rapid strike in front of you, which can deal critical damage.
Basically, a slapshot is essentially it's expanding his standard attack combo.
Yep. Which in this game is actually good, and 2, not so much.
Yeah. I don't know. Some of the regular attack skills are quite nice in 2, but you have to know which ones you're using.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the only catch is if you've watched the earlier videos. And why are you watching this if you haven't seen the earlier videos? We mentioned that there's a couple things the stat layouts affect. One of them is AP, and that's probably the only thing that we're going to be starved for early on. But AP is
it wasn't too much though.
Comparatively, you're a little shorter on AP than you would with some of the other skills.
Yeah.
You will never have enough AP to equip every skill in the game at once.
Sora, I'm half asleep. Uh-oh. Door open. It's Dusty back there. Well, that happened. This is one of those things they never really went back to talk about.
No.
Like, they very casually, at one point, talk about what the hell just happened and what is currently happening to Destiny Islands. Hey, look, it's Darkseid again.
When we get a little closer, I will explain what I think is just what I think they're trying to say happened here.
Oh, no, they outright tell you what just happened. But
yeah.
they're very cagey about it. And you have to have the secret background information to actually get the full details.
Foreshadowing!
Yep. So we'll get it. I'm intending to 100% the game, so we'll have all that secret background.
What level did you hit?
6?
6? How do you not have scan yet? You should have scan by now.
Because I'm running shield. I want to say it's level 7 or higher, level 10, something like that.
Okay, no, I'm getting this mixed up with Kingdom Hearts 2.
Yeah, I think Kingdom Hearts 2 you had scan at like level 2. Like it was
Kingdom
one
Hearts,
of the first things you got.
Kingdom Hearts 2 does the same, pick the thing to affect your skill build, but all of them get scan at level 4. It's the first skill you get regardless.
Oh yeah. I was actually going to say that scan may have been a secret level or something.
Oh, or a bonus
level, yeah.
Right. Could be.
And there goes Darkseid. So I kind of over-leveled for this one, but Darkseid is not actually the fight I was leveling for in the first place. He's not really hard to begin with, but I remember having a fair amount of trouble with him the first time I let's play.
Goodbye, Darkseid. See you.
We'll see you next game.
I don't know. I think we have to deal with him at least once more.
Oh yeah,
Darkseid is probably the most reused boss in the series.
Which is understandable. He's a very generic boss, but he's very
recognizable. Either way,
and he's got a total archetype thing going on.
Yeah.
Okay, so cutscene, new world. You can see the name in the background there.
Look, stars going out.
I wonder if that has anything to do with what we just saw in another cutscene. So this is what I meant by the game being cagey about giving you information. So they just told you what happened. Mickey left because stars were going out. We just see some bullshit happen to Destiny Islands. We go to Traverse Town, and Don Goofy see a star going out.
Traverse Town. Oh boy. I could go on for a very long time about Traverse Town, which is good because we're going to be back here a lot.
Yeah.
We're not just going to be here for a while, we're going to be going around a lot too.
What do I know? You know, in that line, Goofy reminds me of Stanley Spadowski from UHF.
I don't know.
Stanley, you don't know. Then why'd I ask? Like, it's, you know... I love lines like that.
The funny thing is, like, Goofy is, well, of course he's
probably
Goofy.
The smartest guy in the game.
Yeah, he is uncannily
genre
clever.
Savvy and clever. Yeah.
Donald would be smarter if it wasn't for the fact that he's so full of himself.
Yeah.
Where am I?
Well, Donald has a whole it's an archetype thing.
Yeah.
Especially if you go read Winnie the Pooh or watch Winnie the Pooh. Pooh is probably the smartest guy in the book, even though he is supposed to be the dumbest. Rabbit's supposed to be one of the smartest, and he's probably the stupidest because he's so full of himself. Owl is supposed to be the smartest, and he's the stupidest because he's so full of himself. I mean, it's an archetype thing. It happens all the time. Okay, we're not going to be able to do anything with that for a while.
A little funny-looking red symbol.
Let's go
Probably
find
get
ourselves a save point. Hey, look, there's a guy who's completely blocking off one of my routes of travel, forcing me to go in this direction. Well, looks like Titus got out.
No, that's not Titus.
Is that Titus? Looks like Titus.
It's just a generic kid that looks like him.
I'm in another world, which has nothing to do with that one game of the same name. This isn't Titus?
No, it's just a kid who looks a bit like him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, hey, Moogle.
You looking for someone? Yeah, there's a Moogle. This game does have Moogles, even though it doesn't have Chocobos. Getting into certain areas now, you'll be able to later. So that's the hint that, by the way, unlockable bullshit.
Traverse Town has something like 5 districts, so...
People to know where else to turn to, come to this town. Where am I from? None of your business. Don't ask that question here.
It's... I think I can say this without inadvertently spoiling anything. It's kind of winked and nodded that Traverse Town is kind of... It's a dimensional flotsam.
It's a hub. It's a hub world.
People here seem to know there are other worlds, and it's implied that if you somehow survive your world getting blown up, you'll end up here.
Yep. Not even implied. I think it's outright said at some point.
Well,
So
no, others
Somehow
get
the key to the 3rd district is missing. Now, I want to show you something. There is no keyhole.
Huh.
There's no keyhole over here. Or over here. It's boarded up. You know what key you need? A goddamn crowbar. See, I believe this starts send 10 postcards to win something, which starts off that quest.
You don't have to check it, though. You just have to find the postcards.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that there's not a flag on that one.
No, it's you'll find item shop. Well, there's your item shop.
Yeah, I actually want to go into the accessory shop, though.
Accessory shop.
For a couple things. Number 1. Hey, it's Sid!
And there's a save point.
And a save point.
A good one.
And is this the... I'm trying to remember which version of Sid
This is the FF7 Sid.
This is the 7 Sid? Okay. Like, most Sids are the same. Except for the new one, but, you know, that's another thing entirely.
I'm interested to see where they go with that, actually.
Yeah. This is Traverse Town. Is it really another world? Named Sid, and... So, I'm not sure to talk about this ain't your island. So, you know... It's kind of hinted that, yes, Sid knows, but, you know...
It's hinted, well, we can get to that later.
Yeah.
Seaside Shack.
Okay, so that
Good
is
place
going
to
be...
save,
Good
just
place
in
to save.
case.
And that's going to be it for us, guys. When we come back, we'll be actually going around Traverse Town, seeing what the hell we can come up to here. Plus side, we have the Keyblade. We'll see you soon.